Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to be cracking the code on a recent SSC MTS exam paper. We're going to take this single test and turn it into a powerful tool, a kind of roadmap to help you understand what examiners are really looking for right now.
Okay, so let's dive right into this exam. We're not just going to look at the questions themselves, right? We're hunting for the patterns, the hidden clues, and the strategic insights that can totally sharpen your study strategy for any future tests.
So here's how we'll break it down. We'll start with the big picture. Then we'll drill down into history, geography, and the surprisingly crucial role of Indian culture. We'll then finish up with a little masterclass on the one topic that just kept popping up again and again. First up, let's decode this thing. What was the overall feel of this exam? Because, the analysis points to a pretty significant shift.
And this quote pretty much says it all, doesn't it? This is your key takeaway right from the get-go. The paper signals a move away from just simple surface-level facts, rote memorization. It's just not the guaranteed pass it might have been before. The exam is now demanding a much deeper, more connected understanding of all these topics.
All right, now let's get into the specifics. And the history section? It gave us some of the clearest clues about this new demand for depth. First off, a question from the freedom struggle. They didn't just ask about the Simon Commission's purpose, they wanted the specific arrival date. This tells you something really important. You need to create solid timelines for key national events in your revision.
And it wasn't just about dates. They also tested some very specific historical terminology. Knowing what Bandagan meant? Well, that required a detailed vocabulary of the Sultanate period, showing you've got to go beyond just the rulers and the battles.
And this right here, this brings us to a major theme we're going to see all through this analysis: the absolutely critical importance of Indian dynasties. This wasn't a minor topic. It was a core pillar of the history section.
And again, just notice the specificity here. It wasn't enough to just know the sequence of dynasties. You needed to know their precise ruling periods. This demand for detail is a pattern, and we really need to remember it.
Now, this focus on specifics also carried right over into the geography section. The questions weren't about abstract concepts. They were about tangible, significant national landmarks and all that important infrastructure.
I mean, look at the range here. You've got a classic heritage question about the Konark Sun Temple, a UNESCO site, the location of India's very first nuclear plant, and then a tricky false statement question about Chennai port. This just screams that you need a broad, map-based knowledge of India's key locations.
Okay, now what's really interesting is the sheer weight the examiners gave to culture. This was not a footnote, believe me. Questions on folk dances, regional festivals, and even some complex literary works, they formed a massive part of the exam.
Just look at this list. From dances in Madhya Pradesh and Goa to festivals in Himachal and Chhattisgarh, they even asked about the founder of a specific musical gharana. This tells us they expect a broad, state-by-state cultural literacy. And that depth continued right into literature. They didn't ask about some common bestseller. They asked about a foundational economics text by a Nobel laureate, Amartya Sen. I mean, this is a university-level book, which signals a pretty high bar for this section.
And this one brilliantly illustrates the point again. Another question on a very specific, long-titled nonfiction book about partition. So the takeaway is clear. The books and authors category has evolved. It now includes serious, academic, and contemporary nonfiction.
So, based on all these patterns, what's the strategic move? Well, the analysis suggests you should prioritize your revision of folk arts from a few key states. This exam frequently tested on Goa, but also pulled from Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, and the northeastern states. Focusing your energy here could really yield some high returns.
The exam also touched upon other essential areas, of course, including foundational biology and the early days of Indian governance.
We also saw some classic, direct questions. This one on the human nervous system is a great example, and it reminds us that while the exam is getting deeper in some areas, fundamental science is still very much on the table.
And here's another fascinatingly specific question. Not just about the formation of the Rajya Sabha, but about its specific composition in its inaugural year. This points to an interest in the foundational statistics of India's democracy.
So, the crucial point is this. If there was one super topic that wove its way through this entire exam paper, it was Indian dynasties. Mastering this area is not just helpful, it's absolutely essential.
This table is exactly the kind of high-yield information you need. In this one single exam, questions came up on both the Kushan and Chola dynasties. Knowing the dynasty and its founder is the absolute baseline, so use this as a starting point for your revision.
The Mughals, of course, are like a dynasty within a dynasty. And given the exam's focus on timelines, art, and architecture, knowing the precise ruling periods of the major emperors like Babur, Humayun, and especially Akbar is totally non-negotiable.
Let's bring it all together. The pattern is crystal clear. The exam is evolving. And that means your preparation needs to shift from just broad overviews to deep dives into these high-value topics. Focus your energy on that rich tapestry of Indian culture and the complete, detailed history of its dynasties. Study the patterns, not just the random facts.
This analysis isn't just a review, it's a blueprint. It gives you an inside look at the examiner's mindset. So the final question is really for you. Knowing all this, what's the one thing you will change about how you prepare starting today?